Hey, good evening, everyone. Guys, confirm that I'm audible to you. Yeah, good evening, Pranita. Yes. Yeah, good evening, Sai. All right, so in last session, just we recall the concepts, right? So have you started doing the protocols and port numbers? You started? In last session, I just brief you about the topics what we covered in this network level one, right? So today we'll complete that remaining part. You left with the Linux commands, right? So we'll go with the Linux commands today. Okay. So is everyone done with the installation of Kali Linux? Is everyone done with the installation of Kali Linux? Anyone having any issue related to the installation? So everyone is done. Good. So before starting with the Linux commands, I have few questions for you. So have you heard about the hypervisor? Have you guys heard about the hypervisor? Just let me know, yes or no. That's fine. If you're having an idea, just let me know. So what is hypervisor? Virtual machine, right? So what is the use of this hypervisor? What is the use of the hypervisor? You can unmute and you can speak. That's fine for me. Or else you can use chat box. But I need some response from your end. So hypervisor means you said virtual machine. Great. Yeah. So what this hypervisor do? Yeah, Printa.
Yeah, if any one of the operating system on virtual machine, if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't affect the entire machine because it's isolated.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That is the use of VM.
Yeah,
Okay. Only for isolation purpose we use. Simple. It helps you to run the multiple guest operating system on a single host machine. That is what the use of VMware, sorry, hypervisors. So hypervisor, it is a software. Remember, it's not an hardware. It's a software. Hypervisor is nothing but virtual machine. It is a software. This software help us to run multiple guest operating system on a single host machine. For example, you are already running the Windows on your device, right? You're running the Windows operating system. By default, you get the Windows 11, Windows 10, right? So at the same point, I want to run the another operating system for my lab environment, or I want to build a lab, or I want to practice some application testings and all these things. So for that, I need different operating system, not Windows, like Kali. or any CentOS or any Unix like operating systems or Ubuntu or Windows servers only. So can I able to do that? Can I able to run them? Is that possible? It is possible. How? Hypervisors will help. So these hypervisors will help you to run a multiple guest operating systems on a single host machine. Means already your Windows 10 is running. This is primary operating systems we call. It's a primary OS, which we called as a host operating system, host OS. So guest OS is nothing but secondary operating systems, which we are running in VM. Got my point? So that is what we call as a hypervisor. So isolation, this is a secondary point. That is not the primary thing. So when you want to test a lab or when you want to test malwares, all these things, we go for isolation. Using a VMware is not completely isolated. We need to make it as isolated. Means we have some features in that. Using that options, we make that as an isolated environment. But generally, hypervisors help you to run a multiple guest operating systems on a single host machine. Okay, so the reasons can be vast. Some people, for us, we people are learning the Linux platform. Some people are going for testing the application. Some people are going for uh, lab, building their lab environment to practice their penetration testing skills. So like that. So the usages vary here actually. Got it? So that is what we call as a hypervisor. So hypervisor is also known as the virtual machine monitoring, right? So these hypervisors are of two types. These hypervisors are of two types. What are they? Type 1 and type 2. You know what is type 1 and type 2 here? No. Okay. Karthik didn't cover this for you. Okay. Okay. I'll do that for you. Virtual machine monitoring. So it's a software. What it is? It is a software. So what this software do? Hmm? So this software allows a single physical computer to host multiple operating systems simultaneously. Right. So that is what it acts as a like traffic controller, allocating the underlying hardware resources like CPU, memory, storage, all these things to your VMs. So this hypervisor is consist of two types. We call that as a type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is also known as bare metal. Type 2 we call this as a host based. So just let me take an image for you. So can you see the difference here among these two types? So here mainly we have two types of hypervisors. This is type 1 hypervisor. So hypervisor is nothing but is also known as VM only. Don't be confused. So hypervisors is also known as virtual machine. Okay, it is a software actually. So it is a software. Sorry. So it is a software that help you to run multiple guest operating systems simultaneously on your host machine. So type 1 is also known as bare metal. And type 2, we call this as a host based. Host Hosted hypervisor also you can say. Can you see the difference between these two? Just by seeing this image, you can tell that what type of hypervisor we are using. Can anyone guess what type of hypervisor we guys are using? Type 2, exactly. Good. So if you see, this is your host machine. So already you have Windows in your device. You're running the Windows. In that Windows, you have installed the VMware. So you have installed the VMware software on your Windows. Yes. So in this Windows, you are running the guest operating systems. In this Windows, you are running the guest operating systems. Yes. Right. Yes or no? So we are going in this way. So we already have the Windows host OS we have. In that OS we are running, we have installed the VMware. In that VMware, we have installed our Kali Linux. Right. And this is what we call as a type 2 hypervisor. And type 1 hypervisor, directly you have the VMware in the host machine. This is a software it will run. And it will run the guest operating systems directly. So there is no host OS here. Means VMware is directly installed on the hardware. But here, is that VMware directly installed on the hardware? No. What was installed on the hardware? Your host operating system. Means your primary OS, Windows. And in that Windows, you have installed the hypervisor, VMware. In that VMware, you have installed the Kali Linux. So there is no direct connectivity with the hardware for the guest operating systems. So what happened here? So you have one drawback in the host based. That is, you have limited hardware resources. Means the VMs can use the limited hardware resources here. Got my point? Where when it comes to this type 1, already hypervisor is directly hosted on the hardware. Is that guest operating system can able to access the hardware resources? Are they can use. Example for type 1, you can take your servers, the real-time servers, cloud servers. So every operating system will have the access to their hardware resources. So that's why if you observe in your Kali, you won't get the Wi-Fi. Have you observed that? You won't have the Wi-Fi connection. Why? Because the Wi-Fi chipset was already assigned to your primary OS. You have a Wi-Fi chipset, right? You know how you're getting the Wi-Fi to your device? You know how you guys are getting the Wi-Fi? So there is a chip in your motherboard. Network interface cards. Yeah. So Ethernet cards will be there, wireless cards will be there. So it's a Wi-Fi chips will be there. This one. So this will be there on your motherboard. So NIC's network for interface cards will be there, which is like your Ethernet cards. This one. So this is Ethernet NIC. This is wireless NIC. So you can see this interface is having is allocated to your primary OS. So only single chipset we have that is assigned to your primary OS. So now this can't be shared with your VMware. Why? Because you are going with the type 2. So type 2 will be shared from the host machine. So you don't have direct access to the hardware. The hardware will be shared from the host machine. So you have limited access to your hardware in the type 2 hypervisor. Got it? Is that clear for you guys? Specific. Sorry for that. So when it comes to the bare metal scenario, so there is no host machine. So where hypervisors are directly hosted on the hardware. When you turn on the machine, you can see the multiple operating system. You can choose the operating system which you want to run, and that can be run that application with the complete usage of the hardware resources. Right. So while you're downloading the Kali, also you have that option. I don't know how many of you observed that. So I hope you guys have downloaded the VM file only, right, from Kali website. So when you visit, can you see the two options here? One is installer image, one is virtual machine. Which one you downloaded? So everyone went through the VMware. So have you observed one point here? They mentioned limited direct access to the hardware, where you have the direct access to the hardware. Means this meaning is, for example, if you want to run Kali Linux as your primary OS, means if you want to run Kali Linux on your hardware, means removing this Windows 10, I'm using the Windows 10 in my device, removing this Windows 10 and want to use Kali Linux as a primary OS, then this is a file which you can install. So you can see this is perfect for inbuilt Wi-Fi and GPU. Can you see that? Where you won't have the Wi-Fi and GPU in your VMware. You have limited direct access to the hardware. Means you are already running Windows 10. In that Windows 10, you have installed the VMware. In that VMware, you are running the Kali Linux. Means there is no direct access to the hardware. The hardware was shared from the host machine. Got it? So that is what the difference of type 1 and type 2. So mostly type 1s are used in the servers, not individual basis. In servers, in cloud environments, we use the type 1 hypervisor. So some of the type 1 hypervisors we have is uh, Hyper, Hyper-V. So it's a type 1 hypervisor. So this hypervisor you can directly install on the hardware, and in that you can run directly. So it operates directly on your physical hardware and providing the near native performance for your VMs. So this is built in GUI to easily create, start, and configure your virtual environment. So we have Hyper-V, we have VMware also. VMware, this one, not Workstation Pro. We have EXXI, we have this one. This is type 1 hypervisors. So it is a bare metal architecture. Here they mention, right? So the architecture will be like this. So there's a VMware you have, directly you can run the multiple workloads, operating systems, right? So kernel-based virtual machines. So these are all the type 1 hypervisors. When it comes to the type 2 hypervisors, we have Workstation VMware, Workstation Pro. This is for Windows related. If you are using the Mac or any other device, you can go for VMware Fusion. We have VMware Fusion. And this is a paid, and now they release the personal use as a free basis also. Apart from this, we have the VirtualBox. You know, VirtualBox, alternate of VMware. It's completely open source. It's completely free. So you know what's the difference among this VMware, Workstation Pro, and VirtualBox? Even if you see in your Kali website also, when you click on this virtual machine, you can see different hypervisors here. VMware, VirtualBox, Hyper-V, QEMU, all these are the different hypervisors we have. So why we recommended VMware, you know? Among this, why we recommended VM, you know? Have you aware of why you are installing the VMware only? Have you aware of why you are installing Kali Linux only? Why not Parrot OS? Why not Send? Why not Ubuntu? You guys have any guess? Have you asked your instructor why you are doing that? No. So you know why we went for the VM. Even VirtualBox compared to VMware, VirtualBox use the less resources. It will consume less processor, less RAM, easy to adapt the operating systems. So if you're running any older versions of operating systems or old laptops, uh, you can go with the VirtualBox. But the drawback with the VirtualBox is it is not secure compared to VMware. So where VMware comes with lot of features, it come up with a feature like network, customized networks you can do. You can customize the network settings. You have an option called isolated isolation. You have an option called snapshots. You know what is snapshots? And have you seen that in your VMware? You have an option called snapshots. I don't know how many of you observe. Can you see? Take a snapshot of this virtual machine. Can you guys able to see that? You know what is the use of the snapshots? If you pick any of these, you can see that. So what is the use of when I click on this snapshot? If you see, it's saving. It will take a snapshot. So you know what this snapshot do means. For example, you have installed a Kali Linux. You configured everything. You upgraded, updated, you install some applications. You set up everything. Now you can take a snapshot of that file. So means it save exactly what your machine is. The state of machine will be saved. The state of the machine means how what configurations you have. That complete state you can take an image. You can store in your device. So in future, when your operating system or VM got corrupted, you can load this file. So no need to go from the beginning. Whatever the state you have took the snapshot, that state will be run from there. Got my points? So these kind of options you have, customization of networks you have. So if you see any operating like any file here, so have you observed these network adapters? So in this you have an options like bridge, NAT, host only. Just a second, right? And you have a customization of option. You can create multiple networks, interlink everything, and you have an options like BIOS. You can go to the options. In options you have advanced. You have can load the BIOS settings also. You have all these features where you can't find that in the virtual box, right? So this is perfect for network customization, snapshot, isolation, security, all these things. But it consumes more processor compared to your virtual box. So that's why we majorly prefer you to use the VMware only. I'll explain that. I'll explain that network settings. So this is what the hypervisors are. Is that clear, everyone? What is hypervisor and types of hypervisor? So hypervisor is nothing but virtual machine monitoring. So it is a software where that allows a single physical computer to the host and multiple operating systems simultaneously. So type one, which is install the hypervisors on the hardware directly. So where all the operating systems can use the hardware resources completely. When coming to the type 2 hypervisors, we have limited resources to the hardware. So why? Because the host machine is directly running on the hardware. So we have minimal usage of hardware in type 2. Got it? So it will be a bit slower than type 1 due to the host operating system is overhead. So it has less usage of hardware. So a bit slow compared to the type 1 scenario. Got it? Is everyone clear? Is that clear for you guys? Right. So coming to VMware. So if you see in this VMware, you have three different options. One is create a new virtual machine. Another one is open a virtual machine. And another one is connect a virtual machine. You know what is the difference of these three? Can anyone tell me the difference of these three options which you've seen here? The first one, you can add any OS. Okay. Hmm. The second one, you can only have one, you can use any OS you have already installed. Okay. Remote computer. So I'll tell you what exactly it is near to the second one you said is actually not the point. So if you see, the first one is actually we are running the VMware. So we need to install the file which is belongs to the VMware only. So VMware will support to run a file which is having the VMware format supported. But I'm having a file like IS4, yeah, VMX kind of thing. But I'm having a file called IS4. So image file we call. ISO image files will be there. Like if you see, these are some image files. I'll just show you. So these are some image files. Can you see? Right. So ISO we call. So is this belongs to the VM? Is this file format belongs to the VM? No. So it is not supported by the VM. So at the time, we need to create this file to the VM. So we need to convert this file to the VM. So that is where we use the option called create a new virtual machine. So this is used to create a new VM from ISO image or physical CD or DVD or any existing disk image. So now you will click on this, right? So just click on this new virtual image, just click on typical. Now here you need to provide that ISO file. If you observe, you need to provide the ISO file. It is not asking the VM file. If you observe, VM files are not supported. So what files it will support? Which are not belongs to the VM. So ISO is not belongs to the VM format. So now you can select this file. Now this file will be converted into VM. It will create a virtual disk and it will finish and convert that to the VM. So then you can run that application in the VMware. So when the file is not belongs to the VMware, is the operating system file is not a VM file, then you need to go with an option called create a new virtual machine. If the file is a VM file, like example, you downloaded the VM file only, right? Kali. You guys downloaded the Kali VM file only, right? So this is belongs to the VMware. This file is belongs to the VMware. Like you downloaded the zip file and you guys extracted this file. So once you extracted, you can see the folder. So now when you open that folder, you can see all the VM files, right? So now if you see, if I open that from the VMware, so just click on open a virtual machine. Is that showing the ISO files now? Is that showing the ISO files now? No. So it will show you only the VM file. So VMX is the format here. So the file which belongs to the VMware will be supported by an option called open a virtual machine. Means if the operating system is an existing VM, then you can use an option called open a virtual machine. So this is what you used, right, to install your Kali, everyone. So you just click on this open a virtual machine. So it is used to open an existing VM. So VM files usually have the extensions like VMX or VMDK, right? So if you're already downloaded a VM from the Kali Linux, so you can use this option called Open a Virtual Machine. Correct? And next you have another option called Connect. So if the file belongs to the VMware, you can go with this option. If file is not belongs to the VMware, it is an image format, you can go with this option. And if you want to connect to any remote server, like remote VMware server, like just now I said type one, right? So VMware EXI or Hyper-V. So these things you can connect to that server through this option, connect to a server. When you click on this, it will ask you the username, password, server IP like that. You need to enter them and it can connect to that. So this will allow you to manage the VMs running on another machine. Means in remote machine, in server, it is running a VMware. You can connect to that VMware from your VMware. So that is what the option we have is connect to a remote server. Is that clear, everyone? Got it? Right. So once you have hosted your VMware, you can see this kind of page. Just let me stop all the VMwares. Right. So once you have hosted the VMware, here you can see the list. Right. So it will show you like this. So here you're going to turn on your Kali. So when you click on this, it will start running your Kali machine. Before going with that, you need to aware of these options. In that, the main thing you need to look over is network adapter. So you know what's the difference between these options like bridge, NAT, host only. So you have three network settings here: bridge, NAT, host only. So any idea about these three? So which one need to configure? Any idea? Okay. So important thing you need to aware of. I'll explain this now. Just remember. First, I'll go with the bridge. Let's take a scenario here. This is your router. To this router, you have connected some devices like A, B, C. So in this, you're using a VMware. In that VMware, you're running the multiple guest operating systems. Right. So imagine this is your network. In this network, you have your device called, this is host A, host machine, host A, host B, host C. Imagine this is your laptop. Consider this is your device. So in your device, you are already running the Windows 11. So in that Windows 11, you have installed the VMware. In that VMware, you have installed the Kali, right? This is your structure. Is that matching with your connectivity? Everyone's will be the same, right? So now in your VMware, you have using the Kali, and this Kali is connected to the bridge. So this bridge network, it's a bridge mode we call. So what is this bridge mode is? VM act like a completely separate computer on the physical network. Means now VMware will get the network from your router. Getting my point? Means VM will get its own IP address from the router. So router is sharing to A, B, C, right? Same router is sharing the network to the Kali also. Imagine your device A is having 192.168.1.11, 192.168.1.12, 192.168.1.13, and it is having, obviously the gateway will have the first IP address 1.1. So now all these are in the same network. Are the devices in the same network? They're all in the same network, right? So means these guys are getting the IP address from where they are getting the IP address from? Router. Yes or no? Router is distributing the IP addresses here. Same, the router is providing the IP address to the Kali also. Means it is having 192.168.1.15. Now, is that part of this network? So from Kali, can I able to send the data to B device? Can I able to send the data to C device? Or can I able to scan the entire network? Can I? I can. Because whatever the IPs the host machines are getting, the network the host machines are getting, the same is provided to the Kali, which is in VMware, not in the primary network. It is in secondary scenario. Even that one also getting the network from the router. So when you make your Kali or any VM device to the bridge network, when you connect to your bridge network, that means that operating system or that machine is getting the network from the router. So router use the DHCP server, right? DHCP is assigning the IP address to your host machine. The same DHCP will be allocated to your VM device also. So now it is a part of your primary network. Now it is a part of your primary, means physical network. So it is not a separate device. Got my point? So now I can scan all the devices which are running in this network. I can communicate with all the devices. Why? Because I am also belongs to the same network. So that is possible when you connect to the bridge. Clear? Is that clear, everyone? So when you connect your host, like guest machine to the bridge, that guest machine is getting the IP from the router. So it has a full network access. Same real IP what your host machine is getting will be shared with the Kali Linux also, and easy for server hosting. Network scanning is possible, and even you can go for penetration testing also. So that is how the bridge will work. When it comes to the NAT, so NAT means here the VM is getting the network from host machine. So when it comes to the NAT scenario, imagine you connected your Kali to the NAT. So NAT means, imagine this is your VM. Okay. So now VM will connect it to the VM NAT. So there is network adapters, right? And that network adapters are hosted in the host PC. And that host PC is connected to the router. Means you're getting the network from the VM, not from the primary network. No. So it is a part of host machine now. Have you observed when you downloaded the VMware, you have installed VM adapters? Have you observed that? Your device will install VM adapters. You can check that. Here you will have that. When you open your network settings, ncpa.cpl is a command. It's a shortcut command for your network settings. When you click on that, it will take you to the network adapters. Can you see the network connections? In this, can you see you have the VMware network adapter, host only, NAT. Can you see that? So means network is distributed by the host adapters, host virtual adapters. Means you're getting the network from the host machine. Now host machine is forwarding to the internet. So there is no direct connectivity from the router when you connect to the NAT. When you connect to the NAT, the network was shared by the host machine to you. So now you get the IP address like this: 192.168.15.20. Now tell me, is this the part of this network? Are the same network? No. So can I able to scan the network now? No. Simple. So that is what the difference. So it's created its own, it got shared network here, right? So it gets the private IP address from virtual network created by the hypervisor. And the host will translate that VM traffic to the physical network. So here host machine is placing as a mediator. So it get the traffic and this traffic will be forwarded to the, so there is no direct connection. So that is what NAT do. Clear? Is that clear, everyone? So what is the drawback with the NAT? I can't scan the network here, right? So port forwarding is needed here, harder for server testing, and other devices directly cannot reach the VM, right? So, but the advantage is isolation. Someone said it provides the isolation, right? So this is how you can keep your network isolated. So there won't be direct connection to the host or to the network. So if this device got compromised now, most of the malwares will travel through the network services only. So when you keep that in the NAT now, there won't be any direct connections with the physical network. So you can easily test your malwares. So when you're trying to test the malwares on your environment, you need an isolated service sandbox. So by keeping to the NAT or host only, you can get that. When you keep that bridge, imagine you kept the Kali in the bridge and you are trying to test a malware. Is there any chance to affect that to the primary network? Imagine you kept Kali Linux in the bridge and you're testing a malware. So if that malware got infected, that infections can spread to the network. It will, but because the network is shared from the physical network, so there is chances to spread the malware. What if I keep that to the NAT? Will it spread to the network? No. All right. So that is what the difference between the bridge and NAT here. Clear, everyone? So when it comes to the host only, so host PC itself will provide the network. There is no physical network connection. Means you're getting the network from the host machine only, but host is not allowing you to connect to the router. Means there won't be any network. You don't have any internet. No internet access by default. No connection to the physical LAN. So it creates its own network here. Got it? So this is for testing purpose only. This is only for testing purpose. That is what host only will do. So simple. When you connect to the bridge, you're getting the network from physical. When you connect to the NAT, you're getting the network from host only. When you connect to the host only, that is getting the network, will work within this only. So when you connect to the bridge, you have access to the entire network. When you connect to the NAT, you have access up to the NAT at least. When you connect to the host only, there is no connection with the host devices also. All right. So when to keep that in the bridge NAT host only means, example, we are working on the labs here in this situation. Imagine. So I want to, here if you see the operating system, so this is my target mission and this is my attacker. Kali is attacker mission and this is a victim mission. Imagine target device. Now imagine The target is in bridge and the attacker in NAT. Will I able to perform the attack? Imagine attacker is in NAT, target is in bridge. Will I able to perform the attack? Hmm? Of course no. So that's why while you're testing or performing the attacks, check where your target is in. So configure that accordingly. If my target is a network, means I want to see how many devices are connected to my network. So which network settings I need to configure? Among these three, which network setting will help me to scan my network? Not these devices I'm talking, the other devices which are in my network. Like for example, my mobile is connected to my Wi-Fi, my laptop is connected to my network Wi-Fi, my PC is connected to my network, my TV is connected. So like that, you have all the devices in your network. So if you want to see their IP addresses, if you want to find their device information, so which network I need to be? The network which the target devices are connected, right? So which one I need to select? Bridge. Simple. So accordingly, you need to select that. Got it? So default, it will go with the bridge only. For NAT, it will select by default. But I suggest if you're scanning the network or the other device, if you want to perform, keep that in the bridge. No, the other devices should not affect. Only these two devices need to be communicated. Means keep that both devices in the NAT. Got it? Is that clear, everyone? So either the attacker should be inside the target network or target should be connected to the attacker network. Then only you can perform the attack. For example, now I connected to my own network. Can I able to perform the attack on this Sidhu's device? Hmm? Why I can't perform the attack? Can anyone tell me? This imagine this is my network, Akhil's network. This is my device, Akhil. This is internet, and this is another network. Imagine this network is belongs to Sidhu. So can I able to perform the attack directly on the Sidhu device? Hmm? Can I? I know the IP address of Sidhu. I know the IP address of Sidhu. So using that IP address, can I able to perform the attack? I'm not in the same network. That is what I'm saying. We are not in the same network. This is my network. This is Sidhu's network. He connected to his network. I connected to my network. So then how the attack can happen here? How it is possible? Why we can't do the attack? Can you tell me that, Ismail? You said no, right? So why? What is the reason? I know the IP address of Sidhu. I'm having his device information, his IP address. Why can't I perform the attack? Why I can't reach to the Sidhu's network? Neither. Because of router. Because not establishing the network between the devices. Hmm. Then in real time, how they get the connection of my device in real time? How hackers, you say that my device got hacked, but they are not inside in your network, right? How they get that access? Huh? How they lack you? Any open connection? Though there is open, how can be a open connection with the links, phishing attacks? Okay. How that phishing attacks work? Even though, for example, imagine I have sent a link to the victim. Imagine this is the attacker. He send a link to the victim through WhatsApp, not in this way, through WhatsApp or through email. You have sent the links. He clicked that links. So when he click that link, where it is going, where that links are created, how actually phishing works, to set up a phishing attack, what requires, where you'll get the links from, and whatever the username and password he entered, where that username and password will be sent, how you're getting that connection, where you'll collect that session and cookies side, where you'll get నీకు ఎక్కడ వస్తాయి సెషన్స్ అండ్ కుకీస్ మళ్ళీ నువ్వు కుకీస్ ఎక్కడ తీసుకుంటావు the link are by the Kali Linux. Again, Kali Linux, where it is in your network only, but your target is not in your network, right? How that link will work over the network? Root access? No, it's completely wrong. You're thinking in a different way. I'll just give a sample example for you. Okay, I'll just give a scenario. Just try to understand. If you didn't get, just let me know again. I'll explain that. Imagine, let's check this scenario only. This is Akhil's network. Okay, this is my network. And this is, let's take Sidhu. Okay, Sidhu network. Now, Akhil, what I'm doing is I build a payload. I created a malware. So, payload, we call this as a payload. Payload is nothing but it's a piece of malicious code. Now, I build a payload. I have sent this payload to the Sidhu through email. So, I emailed him. Why? Because directly I can't reach him, right? Why? Because he's not in my network. So, I can't reach him. I use a medium called email. So I use the email. Email has stored the data in their server, and that server will be forwarded to the Sidhu. Sidhu will open on his device. Now Sidhu opened that payload. Malware ni click చేశారు. Means he opened that payload. Once he opened the payload, this payload should give the reverse connection to the Akhil, right? It should give the reverse connection. Then only I can able to access this device, right? Getting my point? You guys able to follow me? This payload should give the reverse connection. So how this payload is giving that reverse connection? On what basis it giving the connection? How it knows this is my device only? Because I mentioned my IP to the payload. Obviously, while you build the payload, you need to tell the payload to get the reverse connection to my device. So you have to mention your IP address. So which IP address you will mention? Your private IP or public IP? Which IP address you will mention to your payload, private or public? You have two IPs. One is private IP, another one is public IP. So which IP address will you mention to the payload? You guys able to follow me? I built a payload. I created a malware and I have sent that malware to the victim through a medium called email. Now that victim opened that email and he opened and run that payload. That payload should give the reverse connection to the creator. Creator means attacker. He only created the malware, right? So to him it need to be give the connection. So to get that reverse connection, obviously the creator has to mention to which device it has to be establish the reverse connection. So while building the payload itself, I'll mention the IP. So which IP address I have to inform to the payload to get the reverse connection? Public or private? Public you're saying. But public is working up to your router only, right? Public IP is used to identify your network, not your device. Right? So I can't go with the public. Why? Because public is up to your router only. See, natting avadu. See, natting won't be happen here. So natting jaragadu. So no natting will be happen here. Why? Because you're directly mentioning the IP address. It should get the connection directly to the device. It won't come to the router from router to public to private, private to public. It won't convert like that. Remember, you need to mention the exact IP there. Hmm. If you mention public IP, once you click, it will reach up to your router only. Why? Because router is used to identify your network. Sorry, the public IP is used to identify your network, not your device. So not public IP. Private IP? But private IP will work within the network only, right? How can it works over the network? Private IP will work within the network only, not over the network. How it works then? Even not private IP also. Means whatever the IPs you are using, they are not eligible to perform the attacks on other networks. Getting my point? Why? Because the IPs or the networks what you guys are using is dynamic. Means if you change the network, your IP will be changed. If you change the network, is your IP address is changing or not? So you're not having a static IP here. You're having a dynamic IP. So then how will you get a connection? You won't get the connection. So it won't work in this scenario. Either you can perform the attacks when you connected to their network, or if they connected to your network, then only you can able to perform the attacks. Means attacks can be possible within the network only, not over the network. Then how the attackers hacking our devices? Means if you observe here, they use the servers. Imagine this is the attacker, right? This guy is the attacker. So instead of he's directly delivering the payload to the victim, he's configured a server and he purchased a domain like example.com. In this, he hosted a payload. In this, he hosted a payload, and payload which IP is giving? Server IP only is giving. And he kept this server in public. And you guys visit some websites like torrents. How many of you guys use the torrent sites? Movie Rules, Tamil MV, or any other websites, cracked applications? How many of you? No one. Huh? No one used third-party applications. Or no one used this Movie Rules. No one used iBomma. When you visit these sites, have you observed they redirected to some websites? Have you observed? We call them as adwares. These people will redirect you to these kind of servers on websites. Now, these websites have a malware that will be dropped on your server, on your device. When you click or open that file, that will be connected to this server. Now, attacker will connect to the server and execute the commands, and these commands will be means this is acting as a C2, command and control servers they use. Example, you take Facebook. So can you able to reach the Facebook from your device, from your network? Can you able to reach this website? Can you able to reach the facebook.com from your network? Google, Instagram. Can you? You can access them, right? From your network. From my network, I can access. If you change the network, can you able to access again? Even if you change the network also, you can able to access to these websites. Yes. Why? Because they are having dedicated address. They are having a dedicated address. For us, do we have a dedicated address? Do we have a dedicated address? We have any static IP here? No. We have all the dynamic IPs. If you change the network, obviously you will get disconnected. IP will be changed. Again, new IP, new network. So it is not static. So we can't perform the attacks by sitting in our own network. So we need to configure the domain with the server, static IP. All these things are required in real time. I need to affiliate with the servers. Even you said phishing, right? For phishing, first you need to purchase a website, fake website, and you need to host that in a server, and you need a static IP for that to configure and keep that in public. So whoever visit this website will see a page, a fake web page, and that web page also you have configured in the server. And when they click and enter that username and credentials, that will be forwarded to the server only. Now attackers simply connect to the server and see your data. Why? Because this is in public. So nowhere is directly interacted with the victim. So we call this as a command and control servers. So you need this much of setup in real time. So just having public IP and private IP, you can't. So either you have another concept called port forwarding. You can look over for this. But this won't be the constant. For temporary basis, it will work, but not permanent basis, you can't use them. So for permanent scenario, you have a solution called, you need to have a static IP or a website or a server. These things are required. So if you have these things, you can set up them properly, host your payload, keep that in public. Whoever visit this website, they will be drop the payload in their device. And when they open the payload, that will give the connection to the server, and attacker will connect to the server and he can execute the commands on the target device. So this will place as a C2, command and control server. It's a communication channel between the attacker and the victim. So these setups are required. So we don't have this much of options in real time. So if you want to go with a proper attack thing, this is what you need to look over. Got it? So just connecting to the network, we can't perform the attacks. So you need to check which IP they are using. They are using a static or dynamic, whether they are in the within the network or over the network. So over the network means what required. Within the network means what required. So which IP will work within the network, which IP will work over the network. So all these things you need to look over. So that is where it comes with the public IP, private IP, static IP, and dynamic IP. So you need to aware of these IPs. So public IP, anyone can access. Private IP, within the network. Static IP, dedicated IP. Dynamic, keep on changing. So we have these things. We don't have dedicated one. So if you have a dedicated, you can able to connect to the device from anywhere at any time. You can connect to that. Like how we can able to connect to the Facebook from your network. You can connect. If you change the network, also you can able to connect to the domain. If you change another network, also you can able to connect. Why? Because they are having a dedicated address. So servers use that static IPs, and as we individuals use the dynamic IPs. So if you want to a static IP, you need to reach out to your ISP, Internet Service Provider. You can purchase from them. It costs a bit more compared to your regular connection. They'll charge some more, like 30 to 40% they charge extra. And they'll provide you a static IP and purchase a server, configure the IP to that server and keep that in public. Anyone from the globe can connect to that server. Why? Because it is in public and dedicated. Got it? Is that clear? No. Yes. No. Is that clear for you? What I explained now? So whatever the IPs we have is a public and private IPs. Public will work over the network, private will work within the network. So using these IPs, we can't perform the attack which is in another network. So what it requires means the servers and all this setup, static IPs, everything. So then you can able to reach to my network or either I can reach to your network. So just research on these things. See what is public IP, private IP, static IP, dynamic IP. So these things are important. Got it? So just do work out on these IP addresses. You already done with the IP address. So just go more in detail about them. See which IP will work within the network, which IP will work over the network. So all these things are important. So then only we can able to map the attack. So without knowing this concept, we think everything can be hackable. No, everything is not hackable all the time. So you need to check whether they are reachable or not. What networks they're using. Are they using the private networks or public networks? Dedicated networks or dynamic networks that we need to identify. And accordingly, we can able to map the attack. And if you observe, you're using the applications, right? Like Zomato, Swiggy, all these things, right? Are you getting the updates? Are you getting the updates for your applications? How are you getting the updates? They're not in your network, right? Are they coming to your home, taking your mobile and installing or dropping the update? Or just you guys are connecting to the internet or downloading the update? How it works? So just connecting to the internet, you're getting the update, right? So how it is possible? So they have a static server. So anyone can connect to that server from any place. So just by connecting to the internet and installing that application will connect you to that server. And that server will drop the update in your device. And that server is dedicated now and accessible from anywhere just by connecting to the internet. So that is what static do. Right? For example, I said to Sai, go and collect uh, Sidhu information. Now what Sai do? He just go to Sidhu and collect and see his activities, collect the information. Again, he has to come to me and he need to inform me what he collected, right? What if I'm not mentioning where I would be? I just said him and I left that place. Again, he came to that place, but he couldn't able to find me. So to whom he will report that data? Same here also. Whatever the network we have is a dynamic. So now you're using an IP and using that IP you said to site to collect the information. Now again site came back, the IP was changed. So where he will report the data? We can't. So that is what happening here also. So we are using the dynamic IPs. It keep on changing. If you disconnect from the network, some other will replace by your IP. So we are not having any static or dedicated address here. So we can't map the attacks over here. So we can map the attacks within the network only, the network which we are using. If you want to map the attacks over the networks, as I said, you need a dedicated server or a IP domain, all these things. So practically, if you want to understand these things, you need to be good at fundamentals, like how these IPs are work. So which IP will work within the network, which IP will work over the network, which IP will help me to connect with the device or get the reverse connections. All these things are important. So just do some research about this public, private, static, and dynamic IPs. Okay. Now you got an idea why we can't perform the attack on the other devices which are in another network. That is where we are using the VPN. So there is a mediator now. Sai, this is you. Okay, you're connecting to the VPN. So VPN is taking a request to my server. Got my point? You're not directly connecting to your network to my server. The server is inside my network. This is my network. I'm hosting a server. So you're not directly connecting to my server here. I'm using a VPN. So I have configured my address to the VPN. And this is my static IP. So whoever asks you to connect to my network, just take that request and forward to my server. So VPN is using. At the time, I think you used VPN, right? You said about the VPN, not directly from your IP. First, you need to connect to my VPN. Then your device will connect to my VPN. So whatever the request you made to my server, that will be forwarded to my server. So there is a middleman. Generally, we don't have any VPNs, right? For our networks. Do you have VPNs? Not this browser VPNs and all these things. This is different. This is my VPN, my dedicated VPN. My IP is configured to, my server IP is configured to this VPN. I have a static IP. Okay. That static IP is configured to a VPN server. I purchased a VPN server, and I configured that static IP to this VPN. So when you install my VPN file in your device, I'll show you in next sessions. You need to practice the labs, right? So we have hosted that labs in this server only. So to access this labs, what you have to do, you have to install the VPN file in your device. And when you use your credential, when you use my credentials, then only you can able to connect to my network. So not directly. I'll explain that at that time, that scenario. Okay. Is that clear? So just do research, you'll get an idea about the public, private, static, dynamic IPs. If you do the research, you'll get an idea. Without static IP, is that possible? Means, yeah, there are few options like port forwarding is possible. In router, you need to go for port forwarding option. Or you have some free sources like NGRock or virtual private IP. We have VPS will be there. VSP, virtual static IP or something. So you can go with these things. But they are temporary. They're not like permanent scenario. There is a chance for connection losses also in between if you use them. So if you want to have a dedicated from anywhere, if you want to connect means you need to go with a static IP and get a server, configure that VPNs, firewalls, all these things. So then you can maintain that activity. Okay, you can check that. So in real time, they won't directly connect with you. So they make you to visit some servers, websites, domains, like you said, phishing links, right? That links, when you click that links, it will redirect to some website. That website will have a malware that will be installed, and that malware will connect you to the server. That server will be handled by the attacker. So that is how the process will work in real time, not directly from my device to your device. If I need to do that, definitely the requirement is static IP. Okay, so just explore that IPs, which one will work within the network, which one will work over the network. Just see them, right? So this is the options you have. So bridge, NAT, and host only, right? So bridge means you're connecting to the physical network. So where you're getting the IP address from the router, from the DHCP server. And NAT, which is providing the network from the host. So host is a mediator, will connect to the host will connect to the router. That is how it will forward to the internet. And host only, you're getting the network from the VM itself. So there is no internet connectivity, only for testing purpose you can use that. So these are the three different network connectivities we have. Okay. So just go through this, everyone. See what is hypervisors, type 1, type 2. Right. Then see the bridge, NAT, and host only scenario. Okay. And if possible, just recall. I don't know whether Karthik covered this. Just recall these concepts: public IP, private IP, static, dynamic. So private IP, it will work within the network only. So which is used to identify your device in the network. Public IP, which help you to identify your device over the network. That means your network identification is done using the public IP. So what is that process called? Converting your private to public, public to private. What is that process called? Converting your private to public, public to private. What is that process? Am I audible to you? Mm-hmm. You don't know this process. You have a server, right? So you know public IP, private IP, everyone. So how will you check your public IP? How will you check your private IP and public IP? So when you open your command prompt, CMD, you go with ipconfig, enter. So you have 192.168.1.8. What it is? Private IP. So 192.168.1.8. Imagine this is having 192.168.1.12. What is public IP? When you go to the Google, search IP, enter, you'll get a website called what is my IP address. So here you can see the IP address. This is public or private? Public, right? Yes. So is public IP same for all the devices in the network? Is this public IP same for all the devices in the network? Yes or no? No. Man, private IP will be the same for all the devices in the network. మీ అన్ని devices కి public IP same ఉంటుంది. All the devices will have the same public IP. Check that. Check, take 2 or 3 devices, connect to your Wi-Fi. Check all the devices will have the same public IP. Check that. Open your mobile, open your PC. See, both the devices have the same public IP. Oh, you don't know about the NAT, huh? Thought you know about this. Man, public IP will be the same for all the devices in the network. Simple, remember, public IP is used to identify your network. Public IP is used to identify your network. Private IP is used to identify the device in the network. Getting my point? Public IP is used to identify the network. Private IP is used to identify the device in that network. So, for example, imagine this is my device. I'm surfing for google.com. Now, where the first request will go? Where the first request will go? It will go to the router. First, it will go to your gateway. From gateway to ISP, ISP to DNS server, another network, then it will reach the destination. So this process we call as routing. Okay. So now tell me in server, which IP address they'll get the request? Your public IP or private IP? Which IP will the server will see? Your public IP or private IP? You made a google.com, right? Now this request is going to the Google server. So in Google server, which IP address it will have? Public IP, not private. Private will work within the network. Remember, private will work within the network means the request it will make to the router using your private IP. Now your router will take that request using the public IP. So the conversion of private to public, we call that as a NAT. That process we called network address translation. So converting your private IP to public IP. So private IP will work within the network only. It won't work over the network. Got my point? So which one will take your data over the network? Over the network means after router. Within the router we called within the network. Intranet we called. Intranet, which is nothing but internal network we call within the network. Internet. Internet means over the network. Getting my point? So your private IP will work within the network. Your public IP will work over the network. So which IP address will be stored here? Public IP. And again, when you get back to, it will reach up to your router. Now router again will convert that public request to private IP. Got my point? So over the network, your public IP will be there, not private IP. Private IP will work within the network only. So public IP is used to identify your network and private IP is used to identify the device in the network. So that's why if you observe, you people also will get 192.168.1 series. Have you getting that? Is anyone getting here 192.168.1 to your network as a private IP? So how it is possible? You are not in my network, right? I'm getting 192.168.1. You're also getting 192.168.1. How it is possible? Because private IPs will work within the network only, not over the network. So over the network will work public IP. So now tell me, is that possible to have the same private IP for two different networks? Listen my question carefully. Is that possible to have the same private IP for two different networks here? No, it is possible. You can use that. Why? Because private IPs is working within your network only, right? It is not going across over the network, not in public. It is in private basis only. You can use that. But is that possible to use the same public IP for two different networks? No, we can't use. Why? Because public IP will work over the network. So again, there is IP collision if two networks having the same IP. Got it? So that is what the concepts. So private IP, public IP. So just do some research on this private IP, public IP. Exactly. Ports for application, device MAC address, network private IP, over the network public IP, and then it will route the packet to the destination. Got it? Is that clear, everyone? So just see what is private, public, which one will work over the network, which will work within the network. You can check public IP will be the same. So how the department will trace you people, your public IP only. So public IP will, even when you search for what is my IP in Google, what information it is giving? Is that providing your ISP information? You can check you're getting your ISP information. So now police will reach out to the ISP and they'll ask you to whom you provided this IP address. So now while you're taking internet connection, you'll give all your data, right? Your Aadhaar card, phone number, physical address, everything will be there. They'll provide the details to them. They'll come to your home. They'll seize your routers and devices which are belongs to you, and they go for FSL, forensic lab. They extract the MAC addresses, IP address, ports, everything, and they'll see when from which device it got performed the attack and everything. So public IP will represent your network. Private IP will represent your device in that network. Right. Sorry. Sorry. Got it? So just check this. Okay. Just go through these topics. Today also we couldn't complete the Linux commands. We'll do that on Monday. Is there any hurry for you guys to complete the course? No, right? Is that okay? I'll go very slow, literally. I'll try to cover everything from my end. So all these things are important to map the attacks actually. These are very fundamentals. So it's important. Just see about this topic. See what is public. I thought Karthik covered this. Private, static, dynamic IPs. See what is NAT. Subnets. Port forwarding, all these things. So this may help you in future when you're trying to map any attacks. So just go through these concepts. I hope do some research. Again, Saturday and Sunday holiday, right, for you. So again, we'll connect on Monday. So I suggest just do work out on these topics. Just see what is hypervisors also. See what is type 1 and type 2 hypervisors. Just do some research about them and see what is the difference of NAT, bridge, and host only. And you know the difference of user and root, right? I hope Karthik explained you about that. The difference of user and admin. Yeah, system privileges. So where user will have the limited privileges, where admin will have the complete privileges, right? So just go through this. In next session, we'll try to complete the Linux. We'll definitely complete the Linux commands. Okay. Is the topic clear for you guys? Yes, no? Is everyone clear with the topic? If you guys are having any doubts here, you can ask me. Feel free. Feel free to ask me.
It looks clear, sir, but when you ask a question, it's not clear.
Means I didn't get when I asked the question.
I said when you're explaining, okay, it looks clear. But when you ask a question, okay, it's bouncing back. We're like I'm trying to figure out where is it now.
Okay. See, my what I want to convey you guys is so when we are pick upping any topic now, try to go more in detail. Why? Question it. If I observe here, I'm explaining and again I'm questioning that. You got my point? So I explained about what is public private again. And again I raised a question which will work within the network or which will work over the network. Again, after that, again I ask you what process it used to transfer that. So for every topic, you'll have a depth of connectivities. So map that accordingly. As you said yesterday, application level you have to learn, right? So same. We need to dive more in detail about that concepts. Question it every time. What, even if you found an answer, also again how you got that answer. Question it, you'll get more in detail knowledge. So when you have a detailed information, then it is easy for you to map an attack here. Exactly. So I suggest that. So, because in future we are performing the attacks, right? So at the time, if you don't know what is this breach NAT and host only, you won't get any idea how to perform the attack. You think that you have an IP address, you can perform the attack. No, just having the IP address is not enough here. You need to know what is that IP. Is that public, private, static, dynamic? Will it work within the network? Is that reachable or not? You need to map everything. So obviously we need to dive more in detail. So question it everything. You'll get more knowledge, more deeper knowledge. So try to focus on. Okay. So if you're stuck anywhere, feel free. Feel free to reach out. Okay. So nothing, don't bother about the others, what they think, what they do. So you guys here to learn. Everyone is new for this. I know a lot of things will run in your mind. I came from that phase only. For the first time, it will run a lot of things. So just sit, just spend 1 hour a day, just go through the recorded session, or while I'm explaining, if you note down any key points, just sit on that key points, do some research. If you're stuck anywhere, do some troubleshooting or find the solution for that. Even if you couldn't able to get that, then come to me. I'll explain that again. But minimum, you need to spend some time. Don't come with the same mind what you attended today. So before coming to the next session, whatever we discussed today's class, just recall them and come, or do some research about the topic. Prepare a notes. Even if I'm providing the notes, also prepare your own notes. So that will help you a lot for you. Even after the sessions, also you can able to recall them in future also. So I suggest build some knowledge here. Okay. So do some research. Research is very, very, very important. So don't stick to the content which I'm giving here. So there is a lot more to explore, a lot more. When you research, you'll get more content. So now it is easy for you. When we are building these courses now, we don't have any AI at that point. So how we used to do the research means opening the Google, search for the topic, that we'll get all the links. At least we'll open 10 to 15 links, websites will open, and we'll go through every website and we'll compare all the websites content. In that you'll get a common point that will make as an answer. Now you have AI. AI will compare whatever the question you give, it will compare with all these websites and get the answer for you, a single answer. So it is more easy for you now. So you can do more research. Just AI, just use ChatGPT. You're not hacking here. You're just getting the information. So hacking, it won't allow you to do that, but information it will provide, AIs. So use that AI, give a query, ask how it works, why it's work, how it works. Just ask it. It will give the information for you. So you have all the resources. I hope you guys utilize them properly, and you will try to gain the access. So just focus on knowledge gaining, as simple. Nothing to worry here. I'll just guide you. See, I'm just sharing my knowledge with you people. I'm not a god or nothing here. Okay. So I'm just sharing my knowledge with you people. Just follow that. From your end, put some efforts. That's it. Everything will come to you, as simple. So just gain knowledge, as simple. You need to focus on knowledge gaining. Nothing to do much. Be strong in technical. Whatever the practicals, we'll start the practicals in level 2 in ethical hacking. From module 2, the practicals will be start. Module 1 will be the introduction to ethical hacking, that is the theoretical part. From module 2, all the practical things will start. So whatever the practical things I'm explaining, you need to implement them. You need to practice. You need to find your own things again. You need to create your own checklist, methodologies, all these things you have to build. So just don't come with the empty minds to the session. I suggest you. So I hope you guys know that why you are here, to gain the knowledge. So just focus on that. And if you're getting any doubts, feel free to reach out. Okay. So we'll connect on Monday, and uh, we'll complete that Linux commands on Monday. And I know you're having the exam. You guys know that after the Linux commands, you'll have an exam. So whatever the topics we covered till now, make sure prepare them. So try to work out on that. Don't waste your time. So Saturday, Sunday, it will be holiday for you. So I hope you guys will utilize that time properly. And if you want to practice, you can come to institute and you can sit and you can practice if possible. Okay, so institute will be open from Monday to Saturday morning from 9 to evening 9. It will be open for you. You can come anytime. You can sit. You can practice. I will be available, or Karthik will be available, or interns are also available. So they'll guide you if you're having any doubts. Okay, if you're stuck anywhere, you can come, or else you can message me. Don't call. I may be busy with other sessions. So sometimes I used to forget to call back. So you can ping me. You can DM. So when I get time, I'll get back to you. Okay. All right. So just do work out on these topics. So we'll connect on the next session. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining the session. Have a great day. See you on Monday again. Yeah. Happy weekend.